All right, well, let's get right into it then. For those who don't know me, I'm Andy McCormick, and I'm a member of the ExpressionEngine team. I'm actually project manager in operations for Packetide, which is kind of the parent company over ExpressionEngine. So my job is to help successfully deliver these projects and that we bring to the community and all that we do. So I also have the awesome pleasure of talking about how to implement Pro. And honestly, I think it's cool to hear a little bit from my perspective and seeing that I do have a little bit of a developer background. I tried to be a developer for a few years and got pulled into more of management roles and then operations. So while I do have some development background, I'm not a developer day to day. I'm also not the guy that's going to be building out great add-ons. Back in the day, I tried to extend CartThrob and that didn't work out too well. My experience only goes so far. So, all right. And Jason's trying to mess with me in chat. I need to make sure not to watch chat today. So I want to talk about implementing Pro on your websites. The reality is this may not be an extremely long conversation. This may not even be, it's going to be more than 15, 20 minutes here, but it's not going to be super in depth. And that's the cool thing about Pro is that you don't need to go super in depth to implement Pro. The team did an amazing job on bringing this product to a point to where it just works. And honestly, it's taken us a long time. We've been talking about this product for months and months and months, and we thought we were almost there, and we pulled it back and said, it can be better. It can be better. It can be better. It can be better. And there's always weren't the funnest conversations because obviously everybody wants to get this out the door, especially, I'm project manager. If you guys work with project managers, we want to get stuff out the door. But it was worth it, and we're here at this point, and it's an amazing product that just works. So a few points that we'll go over today. We're going to start with installing it. So licensing and what we've done with license validation has changed and been updated. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll move on to the front end editing, which I know everybody wants to see all that. And then we're going to talk about Prolites, which Tom demonstrated a little bit earlier. Again, we're not going to go super in depth in creating Prolites, but I'm going to talk about a little bit about them. Try to make one real fast, and then we're also going to do some dashboard widgets. So we'll do dashboard widgets from an HTML perspective, which is super easy for people just to create a template, and you've got a dashboard widget. And then also from an add-on perspective and generating one that way. Again, I am not an expert in the ExpressionEngine core or building control panel modules, anything like that. So I'm not going to get super in depth, but I'm going to show you the kind of the skeleton framework for that. And you guys that know how to do that stuff would be able to take it miles down the road from there. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the branding. So we're going to mix and match a little bit of the development perspective, but also just the implementing this for the client perspective. We'll talk a little bit about how what you want to look for, things you might want to update, things that you can just leave alone, how you can make this a better experience for your end users. All right, so first of all, I'm just going to close chat here. Well, I think I got some conference team members moderating. They can share their screen and jump in and interrupt me if something really is bad happening. But all right, so implementing ExpressionEngine Pro. All right, so first of all, installing and licenses. So as Tom mentioned earlier today, ExpressionEngine Pro does have licenses attached to it. You'll see in the screenshot here that you can have it as a trial license. So we made that decision to allow everybody access to try it out, play with it, all that kind of fun stuff. And so what will happen is when you download ExpressionEngine 6.1, it will come bundled in kind of as a first-party add-on. So if you go to the add-on screen, it'll be available to install. Now, Pro is a little bit more than an add-on, but currently how this control panel is set apart or set up, that's the best place for it right now. So that's where it lives. So you'll download it. You'll go to your add-on, or you download 6.1, and then you will go to your add-on section and install it. I'm not going to run through that. Most people know how to install an add-on ExpressionEngine. If you don't, the docs, ExpressionEngine University, plenty of places to go find that. A little caveat here is that to have 6.1 included, you need to download the zip file from the website. If you're typically pulling from the Git repository, then it will not automatically be bundled in if you just do a Git clone. So there are ways you can go to the releases tab, download it that way through GitHub, but it will not be bundled in when you just do like a Git clone for the ExpressionEngine public repository there. So, but trial, yes. So anybody, you can download it, use it on your local domains like .test, .local, some of those well-known domains, same ones that we've used with EE Harbor in the past, if you're familiar with that, will allow you to completely use Pro unrestricted in your control panel on the front end of your site in a local development environment. Once you decide, though, you are ready to push this to a public site, you will need to purchase your license. So you will just go to the add-on store in ExpressionEngine.com, and then you will just find ExpressionEngine Pro. You'll purchase that. You can also, if I go back a slide, you'll see there is a Purchase Pro license. You can click on that as well, and that will take you to an immediate checkout page to purchase Pro from the control panel. This is not, don't get too excited yet, this is not add-on purchasing inside the control panel. We don't have a store built into that. I know that's something we want to make happen down the road. What this will do is take you to a direct checkout onto ExpressionEngine.com. So once you purchase it, you will get a license. You have a license for Pro. What you will need to do is also set up sites in the EE store. So this is new. This is going to be rolling out next week when we release all this. You will actually go to your EE.com store account. You will add sites there, and then you're going to attach add-ons to those sites. So currently, ExpressionEngine Pro is the only add-on which uses this license validation and needs this. However, in the future, we're going to open this up to any add-on developers to use the license validation. And so there may be more add-ons in the future that you'll be required to attach to a site. So you will go to your licenses, you'll go to your sites, you'll simply click on edit your site and attach the license. So here I have my Pro test site, and I've attached my ExpressionEngine Pro license to that site. Okay. So once you've done that, I'll go back a couple slides here, you'll see that my site has a license. As of this point, and one of the team members can correct me either later on or during the round panel or the roundtable discussion, individual add-on licenses will not matter so much. What matters is your site license. And so you can see here under licenses, sites, I have a site license. I would copy that, and I'm going to take that into my system settings, general settings in my control panel, and enter in my site license key. Once I do that, any add-ons that are attached to the site in my licenses page on EE.com will automatically validate through that. So realistically, you should only have to worry about one site license, and all your add-ons through that will be valid. And Jace just confirmed correct individual add-on license will not really be used. So we try to make this incredibly simple for you guys. One license, just attach add-ons to that license, and they will validate. And so it's really that easy. That's all it takes to do that. Once you do that, you will have a valid license. It'll let you do everything. Again, to clear up, just repeat what was said this morning. So trial license on local development sites, you push live. You will not be able to update or do anything with Pro. If you try to push that live, you'll get a message and an error that this is an invalid license. And so some of the features may still work, but you won't be able to update anything or do anything with those in the future. Same thing with low search, low variables. Those can be trialed as well. Those are now part of Pro. When you push, though, you would lose any ability to add to those index, all that kind of fun stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else with that, but pretty much no. Just put your site key in there, and then it'll all work just fine. All right, so installing. So we've installed it. We've added our license. This is an old screenshot because it has a license in the top. Sorry about that. You don't actually have a separate license setting for Pro. It would just say general and branding at this point. So configuration options. We have enable a doc, enable front-end editing, and enable automatic front-end editing links. Excuse me. And so that's going to make more sense here in a little bit. As you saw this morning, the site has a doc on it. And so you can show or hide that doc. If you disable the doc, then we also disable front-end editing. And if we enable, and then also ExpressionEngine Pro automatically inserts those front-end edit links that you saw in the video this morning. Those got automatically inserted onto the website. And so if you don't want those to show up, if you only want to manually place those edit links on certain fields and certain templates, then you can turn it off across the site and then do that manually in your templates. You can also do that through configuration options through your config file. We're not going to get into all that. All that will be available in the docs when that's released. All right, so I think, let's see, you should be able to see my browser window. And so you can see I have Pro turned on here. Okay. Again, this is just using the default theme for now. If I go to my add-ons, ExpressionEngine Pro, you can see it says it's a trial license. I'm going to disable the doc and save that. And you can see without the doc, that essentially disables all of ExpressionEngine Pro. So that will turn everything off. Okay. And you can see I don't have any more settings either. So the doc is pretty much mission control for Pro. I enable it. All right. If I go too fast on anything, just yell. I'm watching chat again now, so just let me know. Enable front-end editing. So you can actually still have the doc, but not have front-end editing. All right, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to refresh. And you can see I no longer have my front-end editing links. However, I still have my doc. Why would I want that, you ask? Well, here's my entries Prolete that comes native with ExpressionEngine or with ExpressionEngine Pro. So I can still go through here and see my entries and manage entries. If I had other Prolets installed, such as structure, forms, CO, I'm sure other add-ons are going to catch on and build their Prolets as well. Then maybe you have users who shouldn't be able to actually edit content, but they need to come in here and see or edit forms or see responses to forms or manage structure pages, something like that. Let's say that one day, and I don't want to tell Cartlar what to do, but if they had like a dashboard kind of Prolete or anything like that that would show sales, you might want people to come in here and be able to see sales for a product for the page that they're on or something like that. That can all be done through Prolets. So you might have users that just need to be able to see that. So, and again, you can do this individually through the config file as well. So we're going to enable front-end editing. And again, though, now what we'll do is just enable, disable automatic front-end editing links. And so now if I refresh, you can see I have my doc, but it's no longer placing the front-end links throughout my code. So I am going to, I didn't have this one open, but I think I have it open here. Yep. So I can do it, and I'll do it in the template editor. That would be fine. All right, so if I go to my index here, recent blog posts, you can see here's my channel loop for my channel entries. Okay. That's a Sorry, I need to go to that snippet, don't I? I hadn't planned on doing this, but I think it's good to do it. So I'm going to do this live here. So we've got our title. And so what I can do here is I'm going to manually put in my front edit link, which is really simple. It's just your tag, and then you're going to use a modifier of front edit. Yeah, it's a partial. It's not a snippet, I guess. Sorry. The default theme still has snippet as the beginning. So, all right. And we're going to try this and see live coding here if it worked. All right. And for some reason, it knocked out my title. Oh, because, okay. Sorry, that's my fault. This is why I'm not a developer, and I'm showing you guys how to use this. Because that actually is, it's not a modifier on the current tag. It's actually a separate tag pretty much all together there. Tom probably just face-palmed at his computer watching me do that, but that's okay. All right, so here you can see that I have my title, so I can go title entry 1. I'm going to save that title entry 1, and I have my edit links. But if I go to another page, I don't have any edit links. And that's, again, because in our settings for ExpressionEngine Pro, we turned off enable automatic front edit links. So that would globally turn them off, and then you would only put links on pages or fields where you want that to happen. So I save that again, and I refresh, and now all my edit links are back. And of course on here, I'm gonna have double because I still have where I manually put one in there, right? So, okay, so that's a quick looking at the settings. I'm going to switch back over to the slides here. All right. So that's all there is to installing Pro. You install it. If you're local, you just go to town. If you're on a public site, you would want to also put in your license key. And then you just go to settings. You decide if you want it all turned on. It's ready to go out of the box. Go straight to your front end, and you're going to see edit links pop up all over the place. Now, the fun begins when you have sites a little bit more complex than the basic thing. So we have a lot of your sites out there. You guys are using Bootstrap. You're using Foundation. You're using Tailwind. You're using JavaScript frameworks. You've got all kinds of components. You've got everything pulled in. As Andy mentioned earlier this morning, we ran into a lot of trouble with all of those different frameworks and everything, trying to invade, be hostile to Pro, if you'll say, causing issues with the formatting, causing issues with the design. We really wanted this to be a great experience for your users. And to do that, it's really important that we maintain this UI that Andy Johnson's worked so hard for. A lot of thought went into it. And so we really wanted to maintain that. And so we really had to isolate Pro from the rest of the website. So it's, as we mentioned earlier, it's pretty hard to edit the CSS of the Pro doc or the edits and all that kind of stuff. You can try, but it's not going to be pretty, and it probably won't be the best experience for your users in the end. But you still run into issues sometimes in the real world where Pro and especially sliders, those kind of things, if you're familiar with any kind of elements where, you just put like an unordered list and then give it a JavaScript data attribute or something, and then the JavaScript framework takes over and reconfigures everything. Well, Pro is inserting those edit icons in your DOM, and then the JavaScript is taking those and thinking it's part of the elements, and it'll start blowing stuff up. So that's what we're going to kind of look into next. We're going to look into a real world site and talk about looking at Pro on a little bit more complex site, things to watch out for. How do we adjust those? What do we do? All right, so let's jump into that. We talked about front end edit here just now. A great caveat, I'm glad I put this slide in here, is unsaved changes. I'm going to switch over here to my site. Okay. And you'll notice that if I start typing here, not sure if I have the config value set yet or not, but we shall find out shortly. Okay. And then I'm like, oh, you know, let me go to the home page or the about page. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. And I need to go back. Well, you'll see that I've lost those changes. However, what we built in is the option to adjust that. So I'm over here in my config file, and I'm going to update the autosave interval to 2 seconds. We suggest somewhere around 10. What this does is this actually utilizes the autosave feature of the control panel. So if you have autosave turned on, or you're familiar with entries where the entries will automatically autosave, we've again brought the control panel forward and a lot of that functionality. And now the edit windows will actually autosave, so we don't have to worry about this. So I'm going to set that for 2 seconds. I'm going to refresh my screen here. All right, live demonstrations, you know, hopefully this is working. So I'm going to do testing 1, 2, 3. And you can see now we're notifying the user you have unsaved changes. So especially imagine if this is a large wigwam field or RTE field, and you've got a lot of data you change. They've been typing this all up. You don't want them to actually be able to click off of that. So we have actually implemented this where there's unsaved changes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that classic, oh, I meant to click my window, but I clicked the link. Oh, no, I don't want to lose my data. But now if I go back to the default site, you'll see it brings back up my window, and it has saved my unsaved changes here. So now I can just simply press save, and there they are. Again, if I have multiple ones, 555, 2222111. Okay, I mean we can really go to down here. So I'm a user. I'm editing all kinds of stuff, and again, I accidentally clicked this link. Oh no, I just went off my page. But if I come back home, you'll see all my windows with unsaved changes open up and allow me to save them. And so when you save, it's essentially refreshing the page. And you can see I can go through and click and save all those. And my user, my content editor hasn't lost time. If you've been an editor on a site for a while, you know how big of a pain that could be. All right, you can also do 22222. You can do a save without reload. So maybe you have a lot of stuff and you really want to go through this, but you don't want to wait for a page reload. You know, reality is not every site runs on an incredibly fast server. All right, so I go through and update all those, and then I refresh my page. Did I made those changes? Oh, I got to remember what changes I made. So anyway, so you get the point though. You can save without reload, and then reload the page, and it'll save all those. This is more turning into a demonstration pro. I need to kind of back out here, but you also have an edit full entry where you can click on an entry, and then you'll get the full entry for that link. So I clicked on entry with large photograph. I said edit in full entry, and voila, I've got the full control panel here using live preview. And then I can close out of that. All right, so let's get into, so that's unsaved changes. So when you're implementing this, you probably want to change your autosave intervals. I believe by default, it's 60 seconds in ExpressionEngine. That means there's 60 seconds from the time they start typing before that is automatically saved. And that's a lot of time for them to click on the wrong link, lose data, anything like that could happen. All right, template preferences. So again, you can enable front-end editing per template. So if you know on a specific template, you never want to have front-end editing enabled, you can also go to the template preferences and disable that for an entire template. Also, just note, I don't really have this in here, but members, it'll respect members as far as what channels they have access to, all that as well. So, all right, so we're going to go through a couple things here, and then we're going to demonstrate it. First of all, you can disable front-end edit links via EEConf. So if I have a large chunk of code, I'm able to wrap that chunk of code in EEConf disable front-end edit or front edit, and then an ending tag, closing tag for disable front edit. And nothing within that chunk of code will allow you to, or will automatically show front edit links. You can also do it via the normal disable parameter, right? So a lot of our tags, we use disable certain content, whatever. And here we can do disable front edit, and that will disable the automatic front edit link for that specific tag. So we're going to talk about this, but if you have a large chunk of code, then the front edit, you may want to disable for certain pieces, but not all the tags within there. Whereas using the EEConf method would disable front edit links for everything within those comments. All right. And then, as I mentioned, somebody asked a great question this morning as far as Ajax, all those kind of requests. If you're doing something where you're loading content after the DOM is loaded, or you're not reloading the DOM, but you're loading more content, you can use the function ee.pro.refresh in your JavaScript, and that will basically reinitialize Pro on the page. All right, so before we get to Prolites, let's look at some of this stuff. All right, now here's where the rubber really meets the road, and if live coding is going to work here, right? Everybody say a prayer for me. All right, so I hope everybody can see that. It's super blown up for me, but we're going to work with this. All right, so I've got my website here. All right, and this is a website that was actually built by the agency I used to work with. I don't think this website's currently in production anymore, but there is a lot of bits to this site. It's using a lot of jQuery. It also is using Foundation CSS. It's got some weird quirks to it as far as how stuff's set up. And so there's a few good places that we can adjust how Pro is automatically implemented. So right now, you can see down here, I've disabled the doc, or disabled edit mode via the doc. And the page looks pretty good. Everything's working. We've got our sliders. Everybody loves a good slider, right? Because you know that your users actually sit there and watch it. No judgment on anybody. We've got our collage of images here. We've got another carousel, because why not? We've got some feeds down here pulling in a featured property, recent news and media, all that kind of fun stuff. So now we're going to enable the edit mode, and we're going to see what Pro does. This is the home page, and it doesn't have a ton of template tags like other pages do, but you can see now all of a sudden we're getting some template tags here. All right, so that's good. Or some edit tags. I mean, we're going to scroll on down. A lot of this was hard coded on the front page. And we're going to see here that my slider completely disappeared when we enabled Pro. Okay. Every once in a while, it's coming through with something, but that's, as you guys know, that's not what we just saw a few minutes ago. And now we've got our tags down here as well. All right. So let's look at where it's implemented and talk about it a little bit. So on the first one here, we have our slider. And this looks great. This is actually a relationship field, but it's kind of creating this weird border. It doesn't look how it should. If I hover over, of course, they're not going to stop. You can see some of these have 3 buttons. Some of these have 2 buttons. And what that is one of these is the property image, which is actually the image for that entry. And this slider pulls the first entry or the first row from this grid. They have the name, and then if I can get to it and click it fast enough. Oh, there it was. You can see here is actually the homepage property slider. So this is the edit for that relationship field overall, where the user would choose what entries are related and what's going to be in this slider. But I mean, my user who's editing this should not have to wait for the slideshow to get all the way around. Plus, we want this to look normal when they're editing it. So what we can do is we're going to come here to our homepage property slider in our index template. Okay. And first, let's do this. Let's do ExpressionEngine comment. Need to be able to spell. Front edit. Last thing I copied and pasted. All right. And then I'm going to close that. All right. Your prayers are much appreciated right now. Okay, great. So this looks like how it should be. Okay. Slider works great. However, as you'll note, we no longer have our edit tags, but we wanted the edit tags. We just wanted it to look good and have the edit tags, right? We want our cake and eat it too. All right, so what you see here is that using the disable front edit tag has turned off any front edit links for anything inside of here, okay? So let's get rid of that. And what we're gonna do is just on the homepage property slider, which remember is a relationship field, we're gonna do disable front edit. I wanna save that. All right, and so now you can see it still skews it a little bit, and you could adjust this further. We're not going to do that now. But now what I have is I actually have edit tags for these individual entries that are related here. Okay, but none of them have that third tag on them. All right, so let's add that. All right, so what we're going to do here is we are going to add, where's the best place to do it? Oh, right up here where I tagged it. We're going to add our homepage property slider and then colon front edit. Save that. Okay. And now you can see up here, I have my homepage property slider. Okay, at first you're probably like, well, that looks like what it did. But now you can see that that's not moving because that's outside of my slider. Okay, essentially what was happening, I think this uses Slick Slider. Slick Slider was taking that element and then putting it into one of the slides. So now we've extracted it out of that slider. So now they can click on this anytime they want to. All right, well, that only gets us so far. You know, and in fact, what we could do is in here, I'm gonna really push this. But if I do, I should be able to come in here and do disable front edit. I'm just looking and seeing here if there's some other places. I was gonna see if I could get rid of some of those extra icons there. All right, that's what I get for trying to do that live. Somebody will probably point out later to me what I was doing wrong there, but that's okay. That wasn't the point of that. All right, so what we want to do though is we want to give the user an idea of what this is without having to hover, because if we have a ton of edit icons, you know, what is that? All right, so what you can do here is we can add a little span. So we're going to add a span here. I'm going to hide this part for now. Okay. This is the kind of stuff when you look into implementing Pro things you should think about for your user. And now if we refresh that, the user knows that that's the edit homepage property slider link. So you could have, you know, one spot on your page where all your property slider or all your edit links are, and then label what they're editing, or for a certain section, something like that. You guys get the idea where you can take that. Of course, the problem with that is if I turn off the edit mode and refresh my page, which it automatically does, obviously we don't want other users to see that. All right, so we're going to turn this back on. Okay, and what we're going to do is I'm going to add a class, a Pro Edit link, and I'm going to hide this. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my JavaScript. Please don't judge me on my JavaScript. That would be great. So I'm going to find where I had that at. Oh, I thought I had that somewhere. Okay, I'm going to put it, I'm going to have to find the, I had some issues with this morning and I had to redo it. So I just need to find the place where it goes. It's basically on document load. We're going to put this here. Document ready function. There we go. We probably could have used that, but I'm going to put it in the right place. All right, so now we're in our document load. Okay, so you guys can probably imagine where I'm going with this. So ExpressionEngine Pro adds DOM elements that have a class of EEFrontEdit on it. So what I've done is essentially said, if any of those exist, then show my links, right? If I right click on this and inspect it, okay, I think it's that or yeah, EEFrontEdit, is that what we're using? Yeah. You can see that edit icon has a class of EEFrontEdit. So if those edit icons are showing, then I know I want to show my labels too. So what I've done is I've hid it by default with display none. And then if that class exists, then I want to show all those elements with that certain class. So again, we see here it's showing. And if I turn off Pro, if I turn this off, fingers crossed, it's gone. So that allows you doing stuff like that and just looking for little things like that. That allows you to create custom places for your links and everything all over your site where you can do that. And so there's a bunch more places we can do that. We're already almost 45 minutes in. I cannot believe that. So I'm not going to show you every place that I was going to, but we can do a couple more. So again, I'm going to come here to this About page. And let's see, where is... again, this would be a good place here. So this is a PDF with an image. And you can see Pro put that over here. So this is the cover image for that link. And then also the link that goes along with that from the back end, the file. You would probably want to label those and clean those up a little bit more. Let's go to one of these here. All right, so if I click this edit link, this I believe is this quality of life summary. Yep, so that's looks like an RTE field of some sort. Quality of life images. Do I have this disabled right now? All right, so I'm going to go to embeds. Sorry, I had this set up locally and it blew up, so now I had to use my remote site here to try this out. Embeds, county and city entry. Life images. Hey, look, I even made a note for myself. Oh, here, this is what I want to show you. Okay, that makes more sense. So you can see, sorry about that, guys. You can see over here, quality of life, this whole collage is actually a really big grid field. So people were asking about grid fields earlier. You can see that's a pretty large grid field there. And ExpressionEngine Pro has thrown itself way over there. So again, what I actually want to do is disable equals front edit. I'm going to save that. And then I am going to use our trick with the span up here. I'm going to call this body of life images. I'm going to tell it what field this is here. Save that. And now you can see I have my quality of life images edit tag over here. My content editor can come in there, click that, and go to town. And that maintains a collage. So those are some of the things. Yeah, Travis, time flies when you're having fun. So these are some of the things you may want to look out for when you're working with your site. But what you see is how simple this is. I mean, automatically, if there's an edit link right next to this title, people know that's for the title. And I can edit the title of my link or my page here. Other places, like in some of these header images, there were issues with that. If I go to target industries, that's the header text. Where's that? Of course, it's not going to blow up on me when I do the live presentation, or maybe I've already fixed it. But some of these background images, because they're inline styles, really cause issues with Pro. But it's the same story. Oh, Tom said that was probably a matrix instead of a grid. It probably was on this site because it's pretty old on some things. All right. Yep, the target industry should have blown up on me, and for some reason it's working just fine. So let me take a quick peek at that. And that's in embeds, target industries entry. Nope, it's just working right now. So that's great. But sometimes with these header images, it'll really blow up and then you've just got to fix it and adjust it. So, all right. So let's move on real fast. One more thing, and then we'll move on to Prolites. I think you guys get the general idea. Again, I mean, it's not to beat a dead horse. It's just super simple. So this is a property listing here. This actually uses Ajax to load. And we're going to come down here, load more. And you can see it's working just fine to load. And I can edit all these entries for the property results. Again, because I'm using the remote. This is like a staging server. It's super slow to load. But you guys can explore more with this kind of stuff later. But if you have a ton of windows open, we can tile them. You can also take a window if it has a lot of information, maybe some of those big text fields, and make it bigger. And then bring it back down. You can close all your windows. All that kind of fun stuff. That's more demo stuff. All right. And then let's see. So let's skip one down. Let's move on down to Prolites. You guys can ask if you have more examples or need more examples or anything later on. But again, that's really, there's multiple ways to enable and disable front edit links. You can also do stuff like this. Let me switch back over to my editor just to type it in there. So I can do front edit link, entry ID, pass it an entry ID and a field name, and generate an edit link anywhere I want to as well. So again, you could almost have like a full page of nothing but edit links. You guys can really fine tune it and customize it to your heart's desire. So that's really front end editing and inserting the links. Moving on, we're going to hit on Prolites. So again, another opportunity here for the control panel to be moved to the front is really bringing the power and some of the functionality of some of the add-ons to the front end of the site. Here's an example on a site running with structure. And you can see down here in the corner or on the side of the dock, we have several Prolete icons, one being structure. User could come in here, add pages, rearrange pages, all that kind of stuff. right here within the Prolete without ever having to go to the control panel. Here's an example of a site that's using CO. Again, I think this is a great example of a Prolete here where you're on this page, you want to see the SEO data from CO. You just click on the CO Prolete and you have all the data right there for you to adjust. Again, if you have somebody that's going through and doing SEO work for you, it makes it super easy for them. On this site here, you can see in real time. No, it's not going to be on here because I had to switch my site. But you would just install, if I just installed structure, the Prolete would automatically show up. There's no, it just comes with the add-on. So let's talk about real quickly generating a Prolete. So there's two options, or you're mainly going to do it with your add-on, and that's by putting it into a Prolete add-on file. Since I am not a developer, I'm going to use the CLI to make this happen. So I'm going to CD to my test site, to my folder here. All right. And then I am going to hopefully, fingers crossed, because again, this was not the environment I was planning on working on. I'm going to use the CLI here. You can see I'm making a module. So I'm using CLI. I'm using make add-on EEConf mod, EEConf mod. All right. Description: a CLI generated add-on for EEConf demo version 1.0. Author Andy me, etc., etc. All right. And so that generated my add-on. If you haven't seen that yet, that is super cool. So I should be able to come in here and find my EEConf mod add-on, and I'm going to go ahead and install it. And look, I've got an add-on. It doesn't really do anything, but it's generated. All right, so now we're going to generate a Prolete. Okay, so to do that, we just do the CLI make. We're going to do Prolete. You are required to have an icon for Prolete, so we're going to do generate icon. Let's build a new Prolete. What's the Prolete name? EEConf. What add-on is it being added to? I'm going to add it to my EEConf mod add-on. What's the description? This is a really cool Prolete that I hope works. All right, built the Prolete successfully. Drum roll, please. Of course, I'm on the slowest loading page on the website to demonstrate this. All right, look, and I've got a Prolete, EEConf Prolete. This is a new Prolete generated for the CLI, from the CLI. Woo, can't believe that worked. All right, actually I can. Again, the team's done a phenomenal job on this kind of stuff. So user add-ons, I think specifically that would be Matt that just took care of that with the CLI. So, all right, EEConf, I go here, Prolete. You can see my pro.eeconf mod file, and here's my function. And from here, you could use anything that's available in the control panel, all the function services, classes, all that kind of stuff. And you know, you can make an entire module, what would usually be a module in the control panel, right here, tables, all that kind of stuff. So again, you can imagine the functionality. You can make Proletes just for your company, right? Just for as an agency, and you want to offer support or you want to offer some kind of data to the front end. It's that easy to generate a Prolete. And I just read Jason's comment, yeah. And you know, so really expand or really make a great experience. Again, this is all about the experience for your users, for your end users. Okay, so that is a Prolete. Those are different Proletes like we saw with structure, all of those. We're winding down to the final few things here. Branding. Branding is another really cool thing with Pro. Right now, the branding is the favicon in the control panel, and also a logo when they log in. So you can see you'll just go to ExpressionEngine Pro branding. You can upload a logo and upload a favicon, and that will show on the login screen where the user logs in, and just to prove to you that that really works. And this time, I'm going to say with confidence that this will work. It is not a surprise. I'm going to log out, and you can see there it is right there. I'm going to log back in. All right, and you can see it's using custom favicon up here. So no problems with that working. In the future, you know, this is just the beginning of Pro, right? Like this, you guys got to remember, I mean, we've worked hard on this, but this is just the first iteration. There is a lot more things to come. You can push Tom about that in the roundtable coming up after this talk. But this is only the beginning of what we're able to do with this. All right, so the next thing, custom dashboard widgets and layouts. So if I come back here to my site, which I possibly have lost, it's one of these. Yep. Okay. If I come back here and I go to my overview page, you will see that with Pro installed, I have a little gear icon up here, and I can edit layout. So for instance, I no longer want to see the comments, nor do I want to see recent templates or members. I save that and they're gone. And that's a per user setting. There is, and I've already dismissed it on here, but there is a banner that will come with 6.1 and Pro. I just want to mention that. That says, you know, like introducing Pro, buy it. Unlike the 6.1 banner, or the 6.0 banner, this banner is dismissible per user, so they'll just be able to close it and then it stays closed. Okay, so let's talk about these widgets. As you can see, recent property listing, current cookies, those are not something you would normally see there. And you might be asking, how did those get there? And I would like to show you that. So there are two options for widgets. The easiest, especially for guys like me, is to do it through a template. So if I come here to my template folder, so I go to templates, you have to create a group called Pro Dashboard Widgets.group, or you can do it through the control panel, just Pro Dashboard Widgets. And inside of here, you will see that I added a widget called cookies. All you do is it's just widget, title equals current cookies. You can do either a full width widget or a half width widget. And then you can use any template tags you wanted. So this is actually a pro feature, EXP consent cookies. It will list out cookies that are being used. But you could do entries, listings, all that kind of stuff. For some reason, I named this other one support. I think that was when I was playing before. We'll make this recent properties. That makes a little bit more sense. And all I did here, because I am lazy and I am not a developer, right, or I'm just your end user or something else, is I just straight up copied the template code to display recent properties that I have somewhere on the website already from one of my other templates. All I did was the widget tag at the top, and then I straight up copied everything and put that in here. And you can see that the result of that is recent property listings. It shows all my stuff, all my data, just like as if it was in the front end, just using template code, again, with my current cookies over here. So for me, as somebody in the company, you know, like a project manager or somebody who might be helping out with content before it's delivered to the client, but is not a developer, that's phenomenal. You know, you guys can just have some, you know, some widgets that are just here's support or here's some things to remember, all kinds of stuff that you guys can just pack in there. The other way to create a widget is with add-on. So an add-on could come packaged with a widget. And again, we're going to use the CLI to do that, which I have complete confidence in it working, never a doubt. All right, but what we're going to do is we're going to simply do, instead of make Prolete, we're going to do make widget. What's the widget's name? Of course, it's going to be EEConf dashboard widget. What add-on is this for? It's going to be for the EEConf mod add-on. And it's done. And so now if I come here, refresh, I fully expect this to be there. And you can see there it is, new widget for EEConf mod, EEConf dashboard widget. All right, so where's that going to be? I can come back up here to my add-on itself, and you can see now I have in my widgets folder. So it created the widget, created my dashboard widget, and here I can come in and edit stuff as much as I need. So like here again is where it titled it. If I wanted to say something else, say everything is fine. And again, you can return, right now it's returning hello member username, but you could return, you know, whatever else. Hello conference. And you can, of course, you know, if you know the control panel, you know core, you can pull anything from the control panel in through that using all the core classes, functions, services, all that kind of stuff. So again, everything is fine. Hello conference, there's a button on there. And so you could really create some cool dashboard widgets for your add-on or for your clients or for something you're building right there. Pretty simple and easily. So that's really what I've got. We're at just almost an hour. Sorry. As Jason said a few minutes ago, to sum it up, everything should work. And of course it worked, right? I'm going to skip that middle one. I shouldn't have said that, but that's just me joking around. I hope you guys see how easy it is to install all this, to work with it. And again, this is just the first iteration. I think this really is going to take some places, you know, what we're doing with our clients to new places that we haven't seen in our sphere anyways, as far as CMSs go. So excited for this. And again, congratulations to the team. It's an amazing product. So, and I guess we'll start going through the Q&A here. I see Lydia just jumped on to help me.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there was time to go over a few of these. There's some of them that kind of got answered in the middle, but there's some that I think are still.
Well, let's do a couple of these, and then we've got the roundtable with the team next, right? So,
oh, right. Okay.
So, guys, if everybody's okay with that, let's just do a few of these big ones, and then you can ask again. Sorry to make you repeat, but we can ask again with the whole team. That way, everybody can take a break. I'm sure everybody ate lunch and then just sat through an hour-long session. They probably want a little break before we go to the next one. So,
I think that's great. I can actually capture these if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll go through at least a few of these here. So, Tom, thanks, Tom. With the most voted on question, would people like the ability to do if front edit and then have your labels spanned with the edit links in that? Oh, so you're just asking everybody. Obviously, you got 6 upvotes. I think everybody should go and upvote that some more. I would love that feature. That's what actually had me come up with the idea to do that link through the JavaScript. So I think Tom knows I would like that. All right, Josh says the unsaved changes feature is great. What about multiple editors in the same entry? Is there a possibility for data collisions? So essentially, we have not changed how that works on the front end. And Josh, we may want to talk that, speak to that with the whole team. So essentially, we have not changed how the control panel works. So currently, you know, however it handles right now, and again, this is where I'm only a project manager, where it how it handles multiple people being in an entry at the same time is how it'll continue to handle that. So that again is something you know, published workflows, all that kind of stuff down the line. We'd like to improve. Justin's question just popped to the top. Following Yuri answer to John's question about fluid fields, are there any plans to make fluid fields more usable by breaking it up into just subfields? The entire fluid field in front end editing could be brutal. Yuri, did you answer that? Or if you want to answer that in chat, I think we spoke to that. I spoke to that internally, that we did want to have the ability to edit sections, right? So we might just want to wait for most of these for the Q&A, apparently. So I do believe we've talked about that. I'm not sure that that's in place now. Okay, John asked with front. Oh, this is where it shows the full field, which would mean the whole fluid field with all its fields. Yes. Jason says, can you set widgets per role? If so, can I tell a role they don't have access to change them? No, the widgets are saved per user, but like each user would add, it's either user or member group, it's user, would add, control that custom widget, custom dashboard. So if you put something on there by default for users, but then they hide it, that would be hidden. All right, Lance says, how does Pro play with caching, either EE native or something like Speedy? We didn't have any problems with caching on our end. That's an interesting question, though. So you're saying if we, if you're on a page that's cached, what would happen when you try to update, especially if you have like some pretty aggressive caching turned on or something like that? Theoretically, it would handle it just like ExpressionEngine does now. So some of those, when you update the entry, it breaks the cache, which would happen again. Again, it pulls the control panel forward. So we're using the same control panel function classes, all that we would normally use in the back end in the entry editor. So however it handles it there is how it would handle it on the front end as well. So that might mean that you need to go break cache, or again, you might want to create a Prolete that breaks cache using the backend services. Custom CSS for widget is inline and template. Yuri, you might have some insight into that. As far as I know, that's the only way to do it. You could also probably do some, we don't have time to try that, but you might be able to do like a style tag if the browser would allow it, and reference and do like a, your whole style bit at the top of your widget. But yeah, it's really inline for the most part, as far as I know. All this is like giving us great ways to try to change stuff and save, or move everything forward here. Is there a way to configure the save buttons to be without reload by default? No, not at this time. We talked about that. At this time, though, there's not a way to change what the default option is. Not a question per se, but +1 for the feature request. This is from Justin, to have a field level settings for disabling front edit regardless of template tags or global settings. I'm not sure, Justin, what that's referring to exactly. To have field level. Oh, you mean in the, like we talked about earlier, in the control panel for the fields. And that way you could do it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Tom just answered the caching question. Native caching is disabled. We'll have to have some conversations with add-on developers to discuss something along those lines as well. Great. Thank you, Tom. Can you set widgets per role? If so, can I tell a role they don't have? Oh, we already talked about that. Oh, Spencer, you mentioned multi-site functionality. Yeah, so we are actually adding to the licensing system to handle multi-sites. Don't quote me on this, but I think there's going to be a discount for Pro licenses for multi-sites. You will need a license per site, but those will be available at a discounted rate. And again, you'll add those to your MSM setup in the in your store profile. So yeah, we're definitely extending and updating how we're doing that with the EE Harbor as well. The multi-site functionality and licenses and how that works to make that a little bit cleaner and better. Gavin says the CLI make add-on thing, does that create add-ons that use the new EE6 installer class? I don't know. That's beyond me. Gavin, maybe somebody in chat, Yuri, Tom, can answer that, or probably Matt, if Matt's still here in the chat. He's the one that made a lot of that. I'm not familiar enough to know about the Ensargo classes and what it uses and doesn't use. If they don't answer that, that can come up again in the roundtable here in a little bit. Is there a way you configure the? Nope, I already talked about. When I was beta testing Pro, this is from Rob. I found you couldn't edit fields that were collapsed in the CP. Has this been fixed? Yes, that's been addressed, as Yuri says. All right. Sorry, I kind of breezed through those because I unfortunately don't have deep level answers to a lot of that. Again, this was more of a implementing Pro from kind of a developer standpoint, agency standpoint of what it takes to set it up and what you need to do. So some of these, Lydia, I hope, did you capture these? I hope. If not, I'll also make sure to capture these, and then we can bring these up again in about 20 minutes at the ExpressionEngine team roundtable.
I captured him, and I just popped on to remind people real quick to, if you go to, we'd love to hear your feedback. So if you can go to eeconf.com/speaker-feedback, I'll put it in the chat. And then that's for specific speakers. Oh, thank you, Andy. And we also have general conference feedback, and you can submit multiple forms. So
excellent, excellent.
There we go.
Excellent. Yes. Oh, am I still sharing my screen? All right.
Yeah, I got all the questions. So
awesome.
We
Thank
can
you, Lee.
carry those over.
So coming up next in about 20 minutes, ExpressionEngine team roundtable open discussion. If you have not, go either to the reception, which is that way. I think I'm supposed to point, is what you guys told me this morning. That way or this way? This way. All right. That way, go to reception and you'll find the link for submission form for the roundtable. You can also go to EEConf.com, find the discussion there and click that. You know what? I'm also going to cheat a little bit and I will put it right here for you. So submit your questions there. Obviously, we got a handful from this talk as well to discuss, and we'll have the whole team available to talk about stuff. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you listening to me. Appreciate you guys being here today. Love this community. Excited to be a part of it, and excited about where we're going with things. So I'll talk to you guys.